The revolution is upon us. This is Get It on Vinyl.
We met at a teen singing competition. I was involved in pretty much helping with whatever they needed at the event, and she was performing while the judges were counting votes. And for whatever reason, I was asked to guard the door while the judges were counting because it was such a high-profile gig. And I heard her singing, and I was like, whoa, like, who is that? So I went and saw this, pretty little thing up on stage singing her heart out, just going crazy, and you can explain the amazing after party.
Oh, well, I was supposed to leave. I was supposed to leave and meet up with some friends that were in town from LA. But I love listening to people sing so much that I just ended up staying. And I had met his mom at a makeup soiree or whatever.
Yeah.
And she got me in contact, which is the reason why I ended up singing there. But then she told me all about Gabe, because Gabe had made it to the Vegas rounds of America's Got Talent. And so she was really proud of him for that. And so she said he's a beatboxer. And once I finally heard him, I was like, oh, I've got to use that in my song, because we were a solo artist. So long story short, he embarrassed himself by singing Bruno and Mars to me and inviting me to his high school so that I could help him get a girlfriend. And then I said, that sounds ridiculous because you're already a good looking guy. Why would you need my help getting you a girlfriend? Because I'm clearly so much older than you. So then
It worked.
And we were first just writing music.
It was very much business starting off.
Business,
we'd go back and forth to the studio.
Yeah, because like I said, I'm
help
older
with guitar, beatboxing
than him. So it just turned into that, and then
we started writing music.
Yeah, then we started writing.
Yeah.
We wrote "Young Love," our first song.
After you had your cup of coffee for the first time.
Yeah, after I made my first cup of coffee ever, because my parents used to just smoke and drink, and I was like, ugh. Made my first cup of coffee. We wrote "Young Love." You know what's funny? I don't play guitar. I know a few chords, but I'm.
Oh, you're gonna take the credit for this?
I did. I wrote
one note.
I wrote.
That
it was
one note.
The D minor. I did that, and you just made it sound better. But that was where we wrote our first song. We went through a few names.
Awful
One
names.
Sound, Nearest and Dearest, Pending Black, and all of them sucked so bad we decided on Stereo RV because we lived in an RV for 3 years, so we could save to do this music thing. And then we got married, and Stereo's dual, you have your left and your right, and we're a duet.
I hate that duet still.
I like it. I work with children who are in the foster care system in Oregon, and what we do is, what I do is I take kids who have been in treatment centers. They have PTSD, trauma, maybe FAS, which is fetal alcohol syndrome.
They're the worst of the worst.
Behaviors. A lot of them don't have families, and there's this craving for belonging and wanting to be cared for and wanting to be loved. And in their small lifetime of the time that they get into foster care, by the time that maybe they age out, which is like 18 to 21, and we're trying to raise the age limits on that, but they'll be in up to 100, maybe over 100 foster homes. And so they're influenced in so many ways by different environments and different families, like the identity issue with who am I is really there, but they're just kids that want to be cared for, and so
they just want to be normal in their own
and they
sense.
want to be normal, and so a lot of the times they can't identify with their peers at school, and so I get them, I take them and I pick them up for sessions, and I work on behaviors and communicating and executive functioning and language processing, and all of those are just how do you build healthy relationships if and how like learning to love somebody. How do we receive love and how do we give love? And I have to teach that. And it's hard to teach that when the to feel like they've never had it before, and a lot of them have never had it before. So there's just this common line throughout I've been working with an agency called CCPC for about 8 years, and there's just this common line where all these stories started to add up, and they all had this common theme.
Yeah.
And it was just that
They want to be human
it's just, yeah,
in their own ways.
human normalcy, and what does that mean to them? So that's where Human, the song, and it all kind of came out, was giving these kids a voice, because they don't have anybody in their corner.
I've got skies, they show me just where my past has been. I've got wounds that are taking their time healing. My heart, it's a compass that I'm following. All I know is I'm just trying to be human. I'm a free spirit, proving I exist. Human, I've got faith that's becoming limitless. Human, make me laugh, it is the best medicine. All I know is I'm just trying to be.
So we took these songs, and the 3 that we started to work on, we worked on with a producer in Portland, and we had met him through we had met him in 2015 at a gig. He was a drummer for a gig.
Oh yeah.
And so he said, yes, I can produce your stuff. And I said, cool, let's do it. So we were going into Fremont Recording in Portland for the next year and a half. I had been in talks with a guy named John DeGrazio for literally 7 years. Well, okay, up until 2015, 5 years. And I sang in a competition, and the guy gave me a call back and said, I really love your voice. And from there, I went to a music manager. And from the music manager, who ended up telling me that I was too fat and too poor to make it in the industry. Yeah. So out of that came The One. And I sent it to John because I was really tired of, I was like, you gave me a plan A, I deserve a plan B. If you think that I'm worth something, then give me a plan B.
If you think I'm so special.
So I sent him my stuff, and on January 4th, 2012, he called me and he said, I love that song. He's like, and I'd really love to record it for you. And I was
When
like,
he asked you, he was like, Myra, did you write that song? Like, he was in disbelief.
well,
that you
yeah,
wrote
he
it.
was, because his words are, you have a Grammy Award-winning song here. I'm not saying it is, but it... but he was like the first person to believe in me in the industry, and so by that time we had started writing, and so I checked in every single month by text message. Hey John, how's it going? Or I'd call him, hey John, it's Myra. Hey John, it's Myra. Hey John, how's it going? Not yet, Myra, not yet. And it was June 23rd, 2016.
That he finally built his studio.
I checked in, I said, John, I can't wait till July 1st. What is it looking like? Myra, we're ready. So what ended up happening is during that time, in 2016, I wrote this song called Human. And it was, I wrote it actually as I was giving piano lessons to a young man.
That's right.
Yeah, I wrote it because not only was I dealing with all of the DHS stuff, I was also dealing with a young man who was definitely one of the outcasts at school. You know, the ones that were made fun of, the one who
Everyone picks on.
Everyone picks
Yeah,
on,
what have you.
and he was also dealing with his sexuality as well. And so being in a Christian home and having to deal with his sexuality, it was not okay. So I was the first person that he told. And out of that, I came up with that with a little melody. And in my head, I started singing, and then I started crying over these songs, and he was there, and he's like, you're making me cry, and I said, I know. And the first lyrics I had been thinking about them was because I had a youth who had self-harmed, and so she had just scars everywhere, and I just had to get her to a point to say, like, I know, like, these are just part of your past, but they're not who you are. You know, they're just part of your story, and you have to be able to walk away so you can step into your future, so you have one, and stop, trying, because a lot of them do victimize themselves, but when you've been placed in a spot where you have been the victim, how do you play the how do you get to be the
Yeah.
hero
Yeah.
when all you've ever been is victimized, you know? So so it started coming out, and it was like, I've got scars, and they show me just where my past has been. And from there, I just started taking all of these stories, and that's really what human is.
My head is the compass that I'm following. All I know is I'm just trying to be human. Oh, please, spirit, prove that I exist. Human, I've got faith that's becoming limitless. Human, make me laugh, it is the best medicine. All I know is I'm just trying to be.
Gosh, I've always loved beats. I've always loved rhythm. I've always loved bass notes. I think I was probably 12 or 13 when I came across Bobby McFerrin, and I was just blown away by what Bobby McFerrin could do with his voice and all the tapping, and he's one of the original godfathers of beatboxing. And then so I studied him religiously, listened to all of his CDs, did everything I could, watched all of his live performances on VHS back when that was a thing, kids. And then Police Academy came out. In Police Academy, I was like, what? Like, oh my gosh, you could make that noise. And so I watched every single Police Academy video, forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards. And meanwhile, I would try and listen to songs and try, boots and cats, and try and make those drum sounds. And then YouTube came out. And then YouTube just cranked that throttle on that addiction of music. And you could look up whatever you wanted. I would listen to drum solos for 2.5 hours long on YouTube and just keep playing it and playing it and playing it and playing it and playing it. And I would just non-stop beatbox under the
What's next in line for you guys after the tour?
Another tour.
I guess after that tour, I guess.
We actually get the opportunity to when we're in Brooklyn for our show, because when we're in Brooklyn for the Living Stage, like this whole tour is for our national tours. We got to team up with Hotel Aro, which is part of the Red Lion Company, and we're bringing our foster care communities and organizations that Hotel Aro wants people to know, like for kiddos who don't know where to go, that they are a safe place. Like come in and use the lobby, come in and have a cup of coffee. Like we'll be there to help your need. They're not just a hotel that's looking for the money aspect of it, because they're completely different from Red Lion, even though they're owned by the same people.
Yeah.
So it's really cool what they're trying to do. They've got a really great marketing team, and so in Brooklyn though, after our show on the Living Stage, we get to go to Water Sound again and write, and maybe lay down some stuff. So hopefully the goal is to have a
full-length album?
I don't know. We're definitely going to have some singles. I think we're going to look forward to doing 2 singles, maybe another EP, but
I don't know.
do you realize how expensive it is to put an album out? It's like ka-ching, ka-ching, and we ain't got no bling-bling, so...
I mean, if we had it our way, I would love to just go and spend a month out at Water Sound and just write.
2. Give me a year. Give me a
A
year.
year?
I will have a beard by the time that we're done. I'll have a
A
beard.
beard?
And it'll feel good. I'll be like, this is work. I put in all this work.
Oh, you're chopping wood out there and grew a beard?
Yeah, he's on a beautiful piece of property, so
Yeah.
that's what we have planned. And hopefully winning a Grammy one day.